Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, we are going to be doing an election prediction for the 2020 election with Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump. The last election prediction I did was Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. I predicted Joe Biden to win by a very close margin, but we'll see what happens in this prediction. So to start, we're going to fill out all these safe states. And then we're going to go here. All of these states will be safe for the president no matter what, like I said before. And then we'll do the safe states for Bernie Sanders. We'll do all these states. And then Illinois. So we have 172 safe electoral, we have 176 safe electoral votes for Bernie Sanders and 116 safe electoral votes for Donald Trump. So now we have 125 safe electoral votes for Donald Trump now that we add South Carolina there. So let's start off by filling these states. In the last prediction, I put Oregon as a safe state for Joe Biden, but in this prediction, I'm going to put it as a likely state because I think that Joe Biden has more appeal to the people there, whereas Bernie Sanders, being a socialist and being further to the left, won't have as much appeal, but he will still win it by a large margin. Next, we're going to go over to Nevada. I think he will win Nevada by a tilt margin. If you look at the Democratic primary polls, he isn't doing fantastic there. The people aren't very enthusiastic around him because of just the nature of the kind of state that it is. So I think that he will win this state, but by a very close margin. And it will be a highly contested state. Then we're going to go over here to Arizona. I think this is going to be a lean state to Donald Trump. In the election prediction with Joe Biden, I predicted this to be a tilt state to Donald Trump, and I also predicted that it would be a Democratic flip for the Senate. I think if Bernie Sanders were the nominee, it probably would not flip, just because when Kyrsten Sinema won the election in the 2018 midterms, she was a moderate that beat Martha McSally. And I think if you have Bernie Sanders running, you wouldn't get the same hyping up by the base in Arizona. And so I think that would lead Donald Trump to get a victory by a larger margin in Arizona than he did in the 2016 election. I think Colorado will go by a lean margin. They like Bernie because he wants to legalize marijuana. But it'll just be a state that goes to him by 6 or 7 points. Won't be too competitive at all. And I'll go lean. Likely will be New Mexico. Not much to say about this state either. He'll win it by a comfortable margin, probably around the same that Joe Biden wins it. Bernie Sanders is pretty popular in this area just because of the Native Americans and the city voters in Albuquerque and all that. So I'm going to go over to Texas here. I think Texas will be lean, maybe even likely. Texas is a state that has been trending blue, but I think if Bernie Sanders were the nominee, a lot of the moderates would directly turn to Donald Trump as the person that they're going to vote for rather than Bernie Sanders. And so I think that since the moderates would turn away from Bernie Sanders, since there's so many of them in this huge state, it would push Trump over the edge by a lean margin, probably by a larger margin than he did in 2016. Then we're going to go over to Iowa here. I think he'll win Iowa by a lean, and Nebraska's second by a likely. Nebraska's second was won by Obama in 2008, not in 2012, and not by Hillary in 2016, and I don't think it'll be won by Bernie in 2020. Probably won't be contested much either. It's just one electoral vote. But in Iowa, I think it'll also be a lean state. It's a very interesting state. It goes first in the primaries for the Democrats. Bernie Sanders is doing well in Iowa, but that doesn't make up the entire population of the state that is majority white and majority old, which might actually be like Bernie Sanders, but I'm going to put this at a lean margin for the president. Then we're going to go down here to Georgia. I think Georgia will be a likely, and we'll leave it at that for now. Georgia, I think, will be likely because Bernie Sanders doesn't have too much support among the black community, and he is very left-wing on social issues that the gospel people in black South Georgia will not like. So I think that'll go by likely. Even when the trend's blue, it might go lean, but I think it'll stay likely at this point. And then Florida, we're going to put as a lean. Trump has good approval ratings in the state. I said if Joe Biden was the nominee, he could get this really close. I think Trump would still win, but I think if we're gonna say even Biden can't win Florida, I don't think you can say Bernie can win Florida. It's going to be a tough state for them to win now that it's his home state now. It'll be a close election like it always is for president in this state. It'll be hotly contested, but I think it'll go by 3 to 4 points for the president. Then we're going to go down here to North Carolina. I think it'll be a lean. There's a lot of establishment people over here that really do not like Bernie Sanders. And I don't see much chance that Bernie could put much effort in to try and flip this state because there'd be a Senate election here that wouldn't want to run on people with socialist platforms like his. Then we're going to go over here to Virginia. I'll put it in a lean margin, but if you think about this, there are many establishment Democrats in this area. And the establishment Democrats really do not like Bernie Sanders. They went against him a lot when Hillary Clinton was the nominee. And so I think that if you have Bernie Sanders as the nominee, he will win it by a lower margin, but still by a lean state just because it's coming more blue all together. New Hampshire, I think, will go lean just because of the sister states with Vermont. Bernie Sanders is hugely popular in Vermont, and I think in New Hampshire you would have a similar story. He'd be doing well in this state. In Maine's 2nd District, I think it will go to the president by a tilt margin, and Bernie Sanders will remain at large by a lean margin. Not much to say about this either. It'll be pretty in line with the results that Hillary Clinton got. Bernie Sanders is popular in the Northeast, so the socialist platform won't hurt him too much. Now, if we go over to here, we go over to Minnesota. I think Minnesota will be a lean state to Bernie Sanders. Minnesota loves weird candidates like Bernie. They elected people like Ilhan Omar, who is a socialist, and they will do well with Bernie Sanders, who is also a socialist. I think that'll go by a lean state, probably roughly around the same margin that Hillary Clinton won it by. Probably a bit more because Hillary Clinton didn't win by much at all. And now we're going to go over to these Rust Belt states here. We'll start with Ohio. I think Ohio, obviously, is the state the Republicans need to win, and it's a state that they will win. Trump is not too popular in the state because of all the tariffs that have hurt the farmers. But I think that at the end of the day, Trump can just say that Bernie Sanders is a socialist, which he is, and that will put off so many people from voting for Bernie Sanders. And then the state that is going to put Donald Trump over the edge by tilt margin is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania in the Philadelphia suburbs, although Trump is very unpopular there, I think Trump can harvest enough votes away from Bernie Sanders that Hillary Clinton got that would push Donald Trump over the edge and retain his electoral win in this state from 2016 election. Then we're going to go over here to the state of Michigan. Michigan was the closest win for Donald Trump in all of this election. He won by about 16,000 votes. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. They'll be having a Senate election as well. You have Gary Peters running for re-election. And it'll be an interesting state to look out for. Trump has already won at this point. And I think you'll see Michigan. Trump could even make gains at this point just because of, again, the factor that Trump can call Bernie a socialist and Bernie can promise all these things that he won't actually get done. So I think that the people in Michigan will not like that. And it'll go by probably less than 1%, 0.5% of a victory for Donald Trump. It'll obviously be one of the closest states in the election, but it will eventually go to the president. And then lastly, to top it all off for the president, giving him 306 electoral votes, I believe that the state of Wisconsin will retain in Trump's column. There were new polls that came out recently from Wisconsin that had Trump actually doing very well in the state of Wisconsin. The people there are less affected by Trump's foreign policies. And in the places like Green Bay and Milwaukee, Trump is able to harvest enough votes in these cities, and especially the suburbs where he is generally unpopular. And so I think that if he can get enough votes here, he'll be able to get over the edge to beat Bernie Sanders. And this would be the icing on the cake for him. It might be one of the closest states, but by then Donald Trump has already won the election. And so I think if you have Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump in the 2020 election, you will have the exact same result. Maybe a couple different margins, but you will have the exact same result. Trump 306 electoral votes in the election night, and Bernie Sanders with 232, exactly matching up with what Hillary got in 2016. States could come even closer. Obviously, the 3 Rust Belt states could flip. Nevada could even flip for Donald Trump. Georgia could get closer. Florida could get closer. Arizona could get closer. But at this point, I'm going to put Donald Trump at 306 electoral votes and Bernie Sanders at 232. So that is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I'll be doing many other election predictions in the coming days. Christmas is coming up. It's time to be around your family. So I hope you all enjoy the holidays. You'll be watching some of my videos. Hopefully I'll be uploading a lot more videos related to this. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.